spoke at you very strongly. He used very strong language, saying how you want the favors and everything. And in your response, you replied him, which I want to actually also focus on. In your response, you came out and said, "Look, ordinarily, I will not, dignify Kabanda's forest of empty talk with a response. I have no energy to engage in an argument with somebody who is intellectually journalist. From what you have written, I advise you to upgrade your education and reason like those who went to school."
Kabanda is one of the intellectually ungifted people. He has low levels of education. He is the member of parliament. So at our level, where we can't engage in an intellectual and scholarly discussion with him. He's just a mere senior sixth river who yes, he's PLU. So he just wants to be seen in good light by MK and so forth. But some of us are beyond that level. When we speak, we don't speak to please anybody. When I communicate to inform the public. I know what I communicate may not be pleasant and palatable to all those who are listening. But my duty is to be honest, to be truthful, and give it my best. If he thinks by writing that, then he's trying to endear himself to some people. That you see, we are in politics, and in these positions for different reasons. When he was reading, he says, "I speak the way I speak because I want the president to pay attention and appoint me. I am not dying for any appointment. I am a qualified medical doctor with a PhD in medical sciences. Even if I chose to walk out of politics now, I can be employed even in a better job than being a minister. I was a senior advisor with the United Nations. I worked in New York. And when I chose to leave New York, I was posted to Harare to be a regional HIV advisor for HIV. I declined and went to parliament. So I am not a job seeker. I am not somebody who wants to survive on the politics. That's why I speak my mind the way I see it. So I am not at the level of Kabanda. That's why I said I cannot engage in an argument with a low caliber fella who is just trying to seek attention. I don't seek attention. That's why even when I advise the president, I advise him with honesty. Honesty. I say things which many people fear. When I sat in SEC, even when I sit in the cabinet, even in other platforms, I give honest advice to the president and the government. I say things which many people would ordinarily fear to say, simply because I am just being honest to my country. So I cannot engage in cheap talk like that one of Kabanda. That's not my level. That's why I had to put him on the level that I advise him to go back to school. So that when you raise an argument, people see you as somebody who is raising an argument which is intelligible, not just pedestrian talk. Saying, I was happy when Igaruga died, I arrested the police. Rubbish.
Well, he's from the PLU camp, and it sounds like they are up against you, and they are not happy with you being at crossroads. You're speaking something different, because honestly, you are giving your views just like this, and they have attacked you. And this, of course, has got the attention of the CDF himself. Are you worried for your position in government and for your political career? Because you look, sounds like you are up against...
The position I have looked for is the position of member of parliament for Chinchills East, which, thankfully, the voters have given me. And I should be able to get sworn in May and start my work. That's it. All these other extra responsibilities which come are the discretion of the president. If he chooses to appoint you and gives you a responsibility, well and good, you serve. If he doesn't, I don't take any offense. It is up to him to choose whom he wants to work with to run a government. I have never lobbied to be a minister. I have never lobbied to be given anything. So to think that I should have a sleepless night because they might drop me, or the only thing I pray for is good health and life, so that God doesn't take me early. Otherwise, even if I was not in the parliament, even if I had lost the parliamentary seat, I have a home in Kampala, I have a home in Kanungu, I have a family. All of you are not in the parliament. Are you not surviving? Uganda has 46 million Ugandans. Are all of them ministers? Are all of them members of parliament? So people should not take these political positions that we hold as if they are heavenly. That if you are a minister, then you are top of everything. You have conquered the world. Am I the first minister? There are many ministers who have been there. They have come and gone. Even me, I am aware. Time will come. I will no longer be a minister and serve in other responsibilities. You do not even have to be a government minister to serve Uganda. There are many Ugandans who are serving their country in different spaces, and all of us may contribute. So when the president, when you catch his eye and he appoints you, you thank him, yes, you appreciate. But you know they have to die that you are fighting to be a minister, no. Not me.
And you know, you're talking about that. It reminds me of the CDF writing to the president to appoint Alan Kasuja as the Uganda Media Center top boss. And the president then wrote a letter addressed to the CDF, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, on that issue. And he writes in part, I received your letter reference. This, you know, and he's replying to a letter. Therefore, he says, by copy of this letter, I direct the Minister for Information to appoint Alan Kasuja as the Executive Director of the Uganda Media Center and look at others to appoint them as his deputy. That, what does that speak to?
Well, the first thing that we have an internal weakness within the government where communication is leaked. I don't know how that letter leaked. I also saw it on social media. But that aside, yes, we have had the internal discussions with the president on replacement of Fonopondo. And like you saw in the letter, I spoke to the president. I am now preparing instruments to appoint Alan Kasuja as the new Executive Director of Uganda Media Center. So that letter is authentic. I can confirm it.
But that letter did not come to you. It went to the CDF and it said, by copy of this. In other words, you are secondary to this.
No, I think the president had spoken to the CDF. There are a lot of...
And that speaks about the center of power. The president speaks to the CDF, the CDF likes you. But the letter was addressed to the CDF and said, by copy of this.
Yes, that particular one. But there are also those which he writes to me and the copy.
That specifically. And it should be telling that this is
not really.
Honestly, if you are the Uganda Media Center is under the Ministry of Information, right? And the president would have written directly to you.
But I can tell you that before he wrote,
he writes to the CBF.
Hold on. Before he wrote, I had a conversation with him. I may not want to go into details of what we talked, but he called me. I was the Kanungu.
Official communication is through writing. That letter was written.
Yes, but there was a consultation. There should be no problem.
Let's just say that that's how power runs. The president writes to the CDF to instruct you to appoint.
No, we had a conversation between the three of us. I spoke to the president. He called me. I was the Kanungu campaigns. And I have no big issue. The CDF is an office also. So I have no problem with that one. I think the president tells me they will communicate the CDF. So I don't want you to read as if I was undermined in any way. No. In this case, no. In this case, no. There was no big problem. There was the consultation. Actually, that letter came later after we had done a lot of conversation over that issue.
But then what does the law speak about the appointment of the top boss at the media center? Is it through public service? Is it through appointment? What is it like? Do people have to apply for this job? Or the president just appoints?
Well, it depends on what we have agreed, but
because if something is under through public service, then public service advertises, people apply, people sit for interviews, and then...
No, you can also do internal recruitment. There are many processes, like the executive directors of these agencies that fall under the ministry. I appoint them, but where there are boards, like say UCC, a board which I appoint, shortlist individuals. You got to do internal adverts or external. You got to do head hunting. There are different ways of sourcing for human resource. Then when they, like UBC, there is a board which I appoint. Processes, then when they recommend, I then appoint the ED, Posta Uganda, all these agencies. So in this case, Uganda Media Center doesn't have a board. So I act as a board, as a minister who supervises it. And we have used the head hunting, which is also legally acceptable within the recruitment procedures of government.
You as the board, you right now act as the board upon the instructions of the president.
No, but you see,
the president instructs you.
But I represent the president as a minister.
But you see, you're saying that you have to sit at the board to appoint.
No, where there is a board, Uganda Media Center does not have a board. So in that case, I have that executive function of running those affairs. A board represents the minister. You see, there are institutions, agencies that are established by law, like say Uganda Communications Commission. There is the Uganda Communications Act of 2013, which clearly defined there will be a board appointed by the minister. The board will do ABCD. The UBC Act of 2005 also establishes a board which is appointed by the minister, and the functions and responsibilities are spelled out. Like when they are recruiting an MOD, they do the recruitment, then they recommend to me for appointment. Now, the difference, Uganda Media Center is a relatively new agency that was created initially under office of the president and then shifted to the Ministry of Information. And there is no law. There are some guidelines creating it, but there is no board. So that function